Break out the carrot sticks and natural yogurt, no artificial hormones added. It's time for the Doctor's Nutrition Show. Dr. Lewis and Janet have a long history of helping people achieve their maximum potential. While Janet is a certified natural health consultant with a unique perspective of alternative and complementary nutrition, Dr. Lewis stays current on the latest research pertaining to nutritional supplements and optimum health. Paramount to their educational journey was their trip to China while studying Chinese medical doctors. Dr. Lewis and Janet know the importance of proper nutrition in the healing process and maintenance of the human body. Get ready to gain a healthy perspective on life. This is the Doctor's Nutrition Show.
Hello and welcome to this week's show. I'm Janet Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Lewis.
And we are Doctor's Nutrition of Texas, where we help you with nutritional solutions for your common health issues. Welcome to our edition of a very exciting show called Working on Weight Loss. So many people are working on it, towards it, striving for it. Main goal is weight loss. We thought we would discuss a little bit about how to lose the weight, keep it off, and make progress with it. You see so many infomercials of they're going to sell you some fat-burning pills or something, and you're going to be very slim and trim. But the real truth behind it is that really so, and does it stay off, or what needs to happen in order for you to achieve your desired weight? So, Dr. Lewis, won't you get started with your take on it?
Oh, Janet's always trying to tell me to speak a little bit less offensively.
Eloquently.
Well,
it's the word we kind of put on it.
Yeah. I used to ask my patients, still do sometimes, do you want me to sugarcoat it or shoot straight? And I had one person say, I want you to sugarcoat it. And I thought, well, hell, there's half your problem there. And I was speechless because I don't know how to sugarcoat things. But, I try to be polite, in spite of it all. About 2/3 of America is considered overweight or obese, 2 out of 3. Well, it didn't exist like that when I was a kid. And when I was a kid, it was like you couldn't have but one starch per meal. And now if you look, there's starches at every meal that, 3, 4, 5 starches per meal. And it's like, well, it's not working. And the low-fat fad is not working. It's, I don't know. I've got a lot to say, but the problem is I have trouble organizing it, so Janet, I'm sure she'll help me with that. I've always said weight loss is simple, but it's not easy. And, if I offend you, I apologize in advance. But, I'm going to speak the truth as I see it. A lot of people lie to themselves about what they're eating because I hear every day from several different people, but I eat good. Honey, if you're eating good, you need to try Snickers and Bluebell and high fructose corn syrup because, honey child, eating good ain't working for you. And that's offensive, and I'm sorry. But some of the people that say they eat good, they eat all kinds of hidden sugars they don't know about. They eat all kinds of refined carbohydrates. One of the saddest things I've ever seen is a lady that was about 400 pounds in the grocery store. And she had several different types of high sugar cereals. She had Pop-Tarts and things like that. She had a big old thing of honey buns, and then she had a big old box of donuts, the 18 or 24 pack. And then she had a little thing of fat burning, fat blocker, things that wasn't going to work. You can tell if somebody's going to be successful by what they put in their buggy. And look at somebody that looks pretty healthy and see what they have in the buggy versus what other people have in the buggy. So don't look at me when I'm full of Bluebell, but I do limit that quite a bit. I limit it. But, I eat nuts. I eat high fat, and I've gotten fat before. I can say fat because I'm talking about me. I was 204 pounds, which I consider pretty fat. I should be about 165 to 170. And I think I'm overweight now. I'm 178, but I know what did it. We just got back from vacation. And besides sitting there for 3,800 miles, chomping on stuff that I shouldn't be eating, mostly refined carbohydrates and too many sugars, I admit I wasn't eating correctly, but I'm truthful with myself. I know that I put the weight on. I'm 178 now, and it's like, yeah, okay, I'll be 172 within a week or so. Yeah, we'll get specific because I'm going to let Janet, kind of try to organize my thoughts here because I'll ramble. And we have several questions from the Shooting Straight with Dr. Lewis Facebook, whatever Janet does it. I'm not the technological genius, but I appreciate y'all having different questions and things that you want us to talk about.
Right. Shooting Straight with Dr. Lewis on Facebook is a group, closed group. So if you would like to join that and ask him questions, he answers them on Facebook. And you can just shoot us an email at janet@doctorsnutrition.org. It's JANET at DRSN or DRSnutrition.org.
Yeah, we're still on vacation,
yeah.
So forgive the blubs.
Yes, so, the thing I guess that's alarming is people are trying to eat correctly, I guess, and I think so many commercials have showed us, or they tell you that this is a healthy choice because they're trying to sell their stuff.
They've been lying to us for about 75 years, folks. Don't buy into the lie any longer.
But an alarming bit of information came out to our attention in 2009 when the CDC statistics revealed that in U.S. the number of obese people actually outnumber the amount of merely overweight people. I think we get so used to looking at the general population that we consider them not overweight when they actually are.
Our perception has changed.
Right. I mean, just like Dr. Lewis ran into someone the other day and they asked him if he was sick because he's so thin. He's tall. I know he told you how much he weighs, but he's also tall.
I'm not. I'm average 5'10". I was seeing my sister at a funeral. I said, God, you look really, really good. You lose weight? No. She said she weighed the same. She says, are you sick? I said, no, I'm fine. She said, you're so skinny. Are you sure you're not dying of cancer or something? No, not that I know of.
But I think people get so used to seeing people overweight that they consider that normal.
Yeah.
And I guess we've had the benefit of going to other countries and seeing how thin, like the Asian people are and how they're walking around and they're exercising. And we were actually overweight over there because they're all very thin.
Janet weighs 130 something. It's like she's a pretty small girl.
But you just get used to it because as America's getting sicker and fatter as a nation, we're just exposed to it, and that's what we come to expect. But really, there is a bad problem. And they said in 2011, 1 in 3 children are now overweight or obese, which is nearly triple the rate from 1963. So, I wasn't quite born then. One of us wasn't quite born then. But
you were a sparkle and a twinkle in your daddy's eye, however.
But I remember going to school and you just didn't see you might have one overweight child in the class and people made fun of them because they were overweight.
And they shouldn't have.
Well, that's right.
A bad thing.
They did. That's what I remember. But now everyone's overweight. So, what are some of the things that we can do to help try to lose weight, I guess? What is the main thing you can do? People always go, well, it costs a lot to come in here and see you. Well, not really.
Not really.
The consultations with Dr. Lewis are always free. And, we tell people change their diet. Well, when they say I'm eating well, I'm eating cereal in the morning. I do my oatmeal in the morning. What are some ideas that people can do so that they can lose weight? Like cutting, you said, eliminating fructose from your diet, which is reading a label.
And that also means cutting fruit out. If you're overweight and have high blood sugar on your A1C, you need to cut out almost all fruits because they have fructose in them, and they have higher fructose than they did years ago because of selective breeding and hybridization. But high fructose corn syrup, do not give your kids drinks, and diet drinks actually trick your brain into creating more fat. But the more high fructose corn syrup, fructose shuts your brain down to where it doesn't ever feel satisfied. It shuts off the signal that says, oh, I'm not hungry anymore.
Well, I know there used to be a diet where people ate carrots. You remember that? They would just eat carrots, and they were actually turning orange because they were eating so many of these carrots.
We called them hair bags at chiropractic college because, well, they were kind of hippie. They wouldn't shave Never mind. I'm getting way off.
It's talking about carrots.
Yeah, well, they turn all kinds of weird colors, mostly orange. They wouldn't spray their apartments for the roaches. They live in filth. Anyway.
But they don't lose weight just doing carrots because they're high in sugar.
Yeah, carrots and beets. And most fruits.
Well, I think people, if they're trying to eat good and they hear, I'll eat a vegetable, so they're considering carrots, eating that or eating a bunch of beets because beets are supposed to be good for you also. They are very high in sugar. So you can not lose weight also doing too much of those kind of things. And then people that are eating chicken and pork and that kind of stuff that have antibiotics in them.
Exactly.
That keeps a person from losing weight as well because...
And growth hormones.
Right.
That's one of the reasons I say, well, in the Mediterranean area, they'll say France and then they'll say Italy, et cetera, they can eat some of the same things but not get overweight. Well, they don't have steroid hormones in their animals to the same degree that we do. And these steroid hormones and antibiotics actually increase weight gain. You just have to, be realistic. Look at what a thin, healthy person puts in their basket and start eating that. I have some pictures, and people say, but I eat good. And I say, well, tell me what you eat. And they say, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I show them a picture. I said, do you eat that every day? They said, no. I said, well, that picture is what you should be eating every day. And even I don't eat that good. So you basically have three choices. You can eat less, you can eat better, or you can do both.
Well, and that's the other thing, that people that are eating good eat too much.
Yeah.
You can overeat a good thing. I mean, so
that hurts.
I mean, so, like Dr. Lewis and I are famous. I always thought it was because people were old they were doing this, but in reality, I guess they were smart. They would buy a meal and they would split it. And I always thought they're so cheap because they're splitting a meal. And the reality of it is that you really don't need all that food that they're bringing out. We look at a serving of it now. That's not a serving like we used to get. That's a half of a cow they bring out.
Yeah. I ate half a sandwich and didn't eat all the bread, of course, because bread's not that good for you. And then I had a cup of soup just a few minutes ago for lunch. And, one of the things, occasionally we get some patients that are angry at us. They're not really angry at us, but it's directed at us. And there's a couple of them here in town. Wonderful, sweet ladies, but, one leg is bigger than my whole waist. And I saw one of them down at that restaurant. She was eating about 3,000 calories. But it's our fault because she loses weight. Well, 3,000 calories, you couldn't half that and lose weight on that. You have to cut the amount of calories down to where you're actually burning more than you're putting in. And then, some other podcast will get into the people that have genes that help you put everything into fat, basically. Yes, it can definitely be genetic, and you can trick genetics and influence your genetic output also. It's not easy. It's really not.
Well, and some people really are doing the right thing, and they still can't lose the weight, and that's why we always recommend doing our low-cost lab work.
Yeah.
Because many times people's digestion is very poor, which means their trains don't move through the tunnel like they're supposed to. And I promised that I would bring the train story back up, to some people's dismay and to the likings of others.
And she'll post on Facebook the I Pooped Today T-shirt that she saw in Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
I was happy about that shirt because people really still don't understand. I mean, we literally had a lady in here a couple of days ago, and she said, "I just don't know. I can't lose weight." And I said, "Well, how many meals a day do you eat?" She said, "Well, 3." I said, "How many times do you go to the bathroom?" Maybe every other day. So I gave her the train story.
Or twice a week.
And she thought it was normal because she'd experienced it that way all of her life.
Difference between what's common and what's normal. So I'm trying to teach you to think.
So if you got 3 trains that go through a tunnel, how many should come out on the other side?
And we've had very educated people say, I don't know.
It's 3. It's supposed to be 3. So if you don't have 3 coming through, if you eat 3 meals a day, then where are they? And that's what's happening, and that's why you start gaining weight around the middle, because you get bigger and bigger because they got no way out.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, the lab will show us that. It shows us many times that you don't digest properly. And really, a lot of people have thyroid problems. They don't realize they do. Dr. Lewis wrote a book about that, The Thyroid Sniper. And it's not in optimal range. They tell you it's in range, but it's not optimal.
But the range includes most of the people in America, which 2/3 are overweight or obese.
Right. Even polar bears have problems with that now, which I wonder if they're bigger.
Because of the chemicals. I don't know. I've never seen a polar bear in the wild. But, more fruits and vegetables. And if you can get them organic, then you don't have the glyphosate. You don't have the other chemicals that actually your body stores in fat cells. So, see, it gets to be a complicated thing. I said losing weight's simple, but it's not easy. But it's only simple if you let us guide you. And we're getting more and more 5-star reviews. Thank you, people that are doing that. It's really funny. The people that give us so much credit are the ones that find us, stick with the program. And one lady wrote us the other day and says, well, I couldn't lose weight. And I think she said she lost 65 pounds of her 70 pounds she needed to lose, baby weight. And she was just praising us to high heaven. It's like, well, I gave her the formula, but she did the work. And you have to be patient. We've become an impatient nation because we're flooded. We're drowning in knowledge, but not wisdom or understanding. So we have the knowledge, but we don't have the patience. And one of my patients, friends, I grew up with her, she's, I can't lose weight. And I tried the Atkins diet, and it didn't work. I said, how long did you try it? She says, 3 weeks, and don't give me any of that horse blank, blank, blank. I said, you didn't give it enough time. 3 weeks is not enough time for your body to shift and change the physiological adaptation to the new diet.
Right. So, I guess one of the questions that the audience wanted us to address, Cindy asked about the glycemic index that Tufts University study says that the glycemic index may not be as reliable as we've been led to believe. What are your comments on the glycemic index? Do you think it's reliable?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Cindy. What we're seeing more and more on the internet is people that are taking something and they're being an exception generator. Yes, that's true 90% of the time, but, and they'll give you that but. Is the glycemic index the be-all and end-all? No, it's not. But, they were saying, well, this potato has different glycemic index depending on how it's prepared, and pasta has different glycemic index. Yes, that's true. But generally speaking, just stay the heck away from simple carbohydrates and sugars, and you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about glycemic index, although we have a pretty simple sheet, the good, the bad, and the ugly, that would reflect good glycemic index levels versus fair versus bad. Yeah, they put out a lot of poo-poo studies and say, well, that's not right, because even though they will discount the 90% of the time that it is right. So I think the glycemic index is really, generally speaking, a very, very good thing to pay attention to.
Well, and another point is the fruit juice. A lot of people drink fruit juice to help lose weight. Or they think they are supposed to have it for vitamin C and, orange juice and that kind of thing. What are your feelings towards fruit juice and weight loss?
Well, God, in His infinite wisdom, and I offend a lot of people because I know there's a God, and there's a lot of people that love me because I'll have the courage to put my convictions out on air. In His infinite wisdom, put the fruit juice with fiber, folks. It keeps that blood sugar from spiking so high, which puts out too much insulin, which gets into, there's so much insulin, gets into insulin resistance.
Yeah, you can literally drink your way into being overweight if you eat correctly and then drink all these things that are high in sugar.
Smoothies.
Right. You can still be a diabetic and overweight with just what you're drinking.
People will ask me, do you want orange juice? I said, no. And they said, well, you paid for the buffet. You get it. And I said, no, thank you.
Right.
Because it's a big spike of sugar. Of course, my joke is, drinking wine for resveratrol is like drinking a screwdriver for your vitamin C. Oh, never mind.
Well,
Bad joke.
That was one of the problems that we had when we were on vacation. They offer you this breakfast in the morning. And you go there and there's these cereals, all these cereals that you can pick from, and all of these juices that you can have, and all these bagels and toast and muffins and
Belgian waffles.
Right. And it's like
apple fritters.
There was nothing left except the hard-boiled egg by the time we got finished. There was just nothing to pick. So I get people, especially on the road, have a hard time doing that. We wound up bringing a lot of our own food. We had a lot of hummus on the road. So.
Yeah, I've officially become a hairbag hippie by eating hummus.
Yeah, because you just feel awful when you try to eat some of the other stuff. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm so bloated.
Right.
Because that's what it does to you.
And we were eating apples instead of bananas for the most part, because apples have like 14 grams of sugar or 14 grams of carbs versus the 55 grams for the average banana. So we did a lot of that.
Okay, Nikki and Crystal would like you to talk about insulin resistance, and metformin. Can you?
Yeah. One of them had a question about her. Her doctor wanted to put her on metformin, and she was nervous about it. Now, me not being an MD, I'm not going to give you any advice about drugs, because our MDs do a really, really good job balancing the chemistry of all these drugs. They're very brilliant, very dedicated people. I'm not a big drug fan. Unless you're in a crisis, then I just submit to authority. 99% of the time, or a very large percentage of the time, you can reverse pre-diabetes and even type 2 diabetes almost all the time. So insulin resistance is when your body puts out a lot of insulin because of the sugar spikes, which we shouldn't have if we weren't eating so much sugar and simple carbs. And part of that's because we don't have enough omega-3s. We have too many inflammatory omega-9s that cause the cells to be hardened and harder to put insulin, for your body to put insulin in there. But some of the things that increase or cause insulin resistance is low vitamin D, too little sleep, too few omega-3s. Low magnesium, which most of us, I think 94% of us are low in magnesium according to our government. Low chromium, low vanadium, lack of cinnamon. The high fructose corn syrup causes insulin resistance. Low amounts of alpha lipoic acid, and green tea actually helps insulin resistance. And the Gardenia extract, which there's another question about that.
That was another question on what were your thoughts on Gardenia leaf and berberine.
Yeah, Jason asked that. I talked to him quite a bit. I always enjoy talking to him. Berberine, I love it because it helps with blood sugar issues. For about 50% of the people, it really helps blood sugar issues. I don't know why it's 50-50, but...
And yeast infections.
Yeah, berberine's great for most of you that have a gut full of yeast, and it's very antifungal. And I've had people come in and say, oh my God, my husband's toenail is changing. It's not gross to be in bed with him because his fungus is going away, or his Vietnam jungle rot that nobody could cure. Berberine and even the Gardenia, if that's pronounced correctly, it helps your body naturally lower blood sugar. It's in a lot of our formulas. My favorite formula for the blood sugar problem is GSF, which stands for glucose support formula, and it has the Gardenia, chromium, cinnulin, which is the patented more absorbable cinnamon extract, alpha lipoic acid, then the bitter melon, and then something I can't pronounce, but it's the banana leaf, and vanadial sulfate. Most people won't talk about needing vanadium in creating insulin and decreasing insulin resistance. So we got you covered on that GSF. It's an extremely popular supplement. We sell it a lot, and people say, my cravings for the sugars and the carbs have gone away.
The other thing it does is keep you from being mean if you don't eat on time.
Why do you look at me when you say that?
I didn't. I just know some people that when they don't eat their regular meal like they're supposed to with a little bit of protein in the mornings, that by lunchtime they turn into a bear because they haven't eaten, and they just... It's
grizzly bear or black bear?
It's grizzly because it's almost like they're going to hurt you if they don't get food now. And that's because their sugar has dropped so low that they've got to eat to get it back up. And the glucose support formula actually keeps it stabilized so you don't have the big spikes in it, so you don't nick the arteries.
Because your brain actually loves to burn glucose, although it works better if it's burning ketones, which means high fat and burning fat. And to burn ketones, you have to pretty much get into ketosis in order to lose weight, and which means high fat. Now, it has to be good fat, folks.
So when you talk about burning fat, that comes to our other question from Amanda, and she's wanting to know the role exercise plays in weight loss. Even if you're a fairly sedentary person, how can you keep motivated to want to do exercise?
Well, I know who you're talking about. Amanda and her husband, Scott, are really, really, really consistent. They take a lot of stuff, and they're getting a lot of good results because of it. They put in the time and the consistency. I think, Amanda, your problem is you're stressed becoming a PhD and doing all the things that you do. Exercise is extremely important, and I'm not a big exercise buff.
I think once you start it, though, it's easier to get out and do it. It's the getting started that's hard.
Well, Janet wakes up like a songbird in the morning and wants to go walking, and the magic number is about at least 3 times a week, and it's 20 to 30 minutes or more per session. And we have a beautiful little lake not too far from our house that we can walk around. But yes, it is extremely important. I think one of the best books that is totally overlooked is Why Can't I Stay Motivated? And it's a really good book about weight loss and motivation. I think the hard part for all of us is we have things kind of backwards, and we don't put ourselves first. The Bible says, love your neighbor as thyself. Now, if you break that down linguistically, that means you should love yourself first and foremost. And, Janet loves me probably more than I love myself, so she motivates me. So I think Scott can motivate you, Amanda. All right, come here, and I'll show you the book. And we'll
wrote
talk.
it? Do you know, in case they want to look it up, who the author is on it? He just has these things randomly in his head, and then
I think her name is Lori Medford, Medford. She's really, really, really smart, has a beautiful smile like Janet. But it's a very overlooked book, and I think everybody out there listening should buy the book. Why Can't I Stay Motivated?
That's good. And then we have one last question from Moses that wants to know what kind of salt you should use and what's best when controlling cravings.
I think you should do the Celtic, ever how you pronounce it, CELTIC, or Himalayan sea salt. We do the Himalayan because it's pink and pretty.
It's pink.
The regular salt, there's a different mineral profile about how much sodium and chloride in it. It's really, really important. Salt is important. And, the old saying, you're worth your salt, which meant your salary. And there's plenty of studies that says that if you're on a low salt diet, more people die than if you're on a high salt diet. It helps to maintain and regulate blood pressure. Most people that are on a low salt diet don't have enough chloride to make enough hydrochloric acid. Those of you that have been doing my program, many of you have heard that from me.
It helps adrenals. It helps stress.
Yeah, if you're craving salt, your adrenal glands are probably pretty well shot. And as far as it being linked to heart disease, yes, I know you can do salt and raise your blood pressure, but there's more to it. If you've done that and you gave up too quickly, because salt is not harmful if you have enough calcium, magnesium, and potassium mostly. But one of those studies I read a long time ago was low salt group, 50 died, and moderate salt group, 24 died. The high salt group, only 10 died. And that was research out of the American Medical Association, so, pretty well regarded. And some of these symptoms that are linked to low salt can be symptoms of many other conditions. So always see your primary care physician or call us. It can be a headache, confusion, fatigue, loss of energy, urinary incontinence, believe it or not, seizures, muscle weakness. So we sell a lot of Tri-Alkali because it's really inexpensive, has a little bit of vitamin D, calcium, magnesium, potassium, and glycine. Glycine's a really good thing. And Janet sells the holy heck out of something called Electrolyte Energy. Way better
Then Gatorade.
I wasn't going to mention the name.
Oh, sorry. Then those blue and green drinks.
Yeah, but it has a little bit of the vitamin C, calcium, magnesium, chloride, sodium, potassium, alpha ketoglucarate, malic acid, and tyrosine. A lot of the people that sweat, which are the kids doing 2-a-day football practice, or the ones that out there, mowing lawns, they buy the holy heck out of it. It's real popular. Janet made sure I had plenty of both. And she sprinkles a little Himalayan sea salt in with it, and she would give that to me because we drove like 3,800 miles on our vacation, and if I didn't take that, I would cramp like crazy. And she's not so worried about my leg or toe cramp. She's more concerned about keeping my heart from cramping and having the heart attack. So she took very good care of me. But salt is a key component. So Himalayan, just because it's prettier, the Celtic, is very, very, very important. Don't do without it. You're better off with it. You need it for many, many reasons. And it used to, many years ago, maybe thousands, they traded an ounce of salt for an ounce of gold. That should tell you how valuable it is.
Right. And if you guys are having trouble losing weight and you haven't run our low-cost lab work, consider doing that because, like I said, it's like 12 panels we run for a very limited amount of money, so we're not guessing at why you can't lose weight. Go on our website to A Cut Above Naturals with an S on the end.com and fill out our health survey, and Dr. Lewis can talk to you and explain to you how you can get started and why you may be having a problem with weight loss.
There was one other question about alkaline water, and I think there's a whole lot of hype, smoke, mirrors, and baloney about that. The way to make water alkaline is just to put the trialkali or electrolyte energy. It's the minerals that make it alkaline. So you don't have to buy a $4,000 or $5,000 machine. And if you want to know more about it, go to Dr. Emito, Meoto. He did a lot of research many, many years ago, but it's a lot of hype. So
we hope you enjoyed this week's show. And we'll be right here next time on the Doctor's Nutrition of Texas show. You guys have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.